Hi everybody. I think things are settling up. Nice to see you all. There's a lot of people joining. Super nice. We're gonna wait a few minutes so we have the number of participants, of attendees. Just a few minutes and then we'll start. We'll wait 2 more minutes maximum and then we'll start, okay?
Hey, while we're waiting, just so everybody can know. Hey, Oliver.
Right.
Will the recording be shared? Yeah, I think we can safely say that the recording will be shared. Just a bit of housekeeping while we're waiting. Hello to everyone. Basically, this will be a bit of a different, and we're calling it an anti-webinar, just to let everyone know. We're calling it an anti-webinar because we will not be focusing almost at all on our companies, both WB and Tail Travel. We'll be focusing more on how to grow a particular agency business. Okay, so this is why we call it an anti-webinar. We started this idea from the fact that we saw how webinars usually are conducted, and they are very impersonal and very they're very company focused or company presentation focused, and people are looking in this day and age for practical advices. This is why we started this with Sabine, and we're happy to have him here because he's a real life example of some samples or some best practices that can be done regarding a travel company in 2024 and moving on. Some of you, probably a lot of you, will know Sabine's ideas. Some of you will have better ideas. So it's not like this will be an all-encompassing, the only tip and trick handbook that you can have to grow an agency. It's just Sabine's experience with a bit of our help in regards to what you could do to grow your travel agency business. Obviously, I want to make a note. If you have a company doing $1 billion a year, or 1.2 billion a year, or 2 billion a year, our advices would probably look a bit shy or timid, or they will not be applying to you. So just to keep everyone on the same space, we are somehow thinking of companies that are doing up to 10 million euro, up to maybe a bit more. But if you are in this range of, let's say, anywhere between 2 to 10 million, we believe that these advices would somehow fit your particular agency far better. Obviously, if you're doing already $500 million, we congratulate you. You should do a show like this in order to tell all of us how you made it to do $500 million a year. So just to have everyone on the same space. So we're not talking about what a company like Go Global or Expedia could do, but something along the lines of a DMC or someone who's doing let's call it up to $10 million, $10 million euro a year. Okay, this is why. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with you. Okay.
I think we can go ahead. My name is Claudia. I welcome everybody for the webinar. It's actually an anti-webinar. I'm handling the marketing for wbe.travel. I have with me my colleague Radu, who's handling the business development department for wbe.travel, and Sabine, who's the CEO and co-founder of Tail Travel, that has carved his name for the past 8 years as a great B2B wholesaler for the European region. We've gathered all here, like Radu said previously, that because we want to share something insightful, something real that can actually boost a travel company from 5 to 10 to 30 or more millions in turnover. So we've attended lots of webinars that had less insightful information and were pretty boring and so on. So we wanted to give something back of our knowledge and experience from the past years. As I told you, these are the two speakers. Radu has a great portfolio of case studies and working with lots of travel companies for the past 15 years. Sabine has made it in the travel industry and has made a shift about 3 to 4 years ago to WB, and he's one of the real case studies that knows how to use technology and has in its benefits and to use only the tools that make his business grow. I would like to invite my colleagues Radu and Sabine to take over. But before we do that, I just want you to ask away all the questions that you might have for a particular slide or for a particular statement or for a particular case. There's a Q&A. There's a Q&A bubble in the menu of Zoom. For the whole period of the webinar, don't be shy. There's no stupid question. There's no bad question. It's only the question that you have on your particular case that we can address in this case. We'll answer all the questions by the end of the webinar, so stay tuned because we promise it's going to be just right. So without any further delay, I would like to pass the microphone to Sabine and to Radu. Thank you all for joining today. We'll share the video afterwards for you to take notes and I don't know, write down any other information that you saw in this webinar. Thank you. Radu?
Thanks, Claudia. Thanks, Claudia. We'll just jump into things. We structured it a bit to our liking, but obviously, as Claudia said, any question that you have regarding a certain slide, you will forget it by the end. So anything that you want, just drop it in the comments box in the Q&A section. Okay. Let's see how we can go to the next slide. Claudia, can you help me with the next slide?
Yeah, for sure. I think, okay.
Perfect. The next one, the first section would be the buying travel inventory, which everybody wants to do, and everybody probably of you is already doing it.
We went with the presentation as a normal flow of a travel agent. That's why we have the chapters like this, so we can go.
Can you make it full screen? At least for me, it doesn't appear.
It is full screen.
Okay, because it's showing. It depends on how I have the view options.
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, a bit of housekeeping regarding the, let's say, the APIs. 2 seconds. Okay, regarding the APIs, you will hear me and Sabine talk a lot about APIs, XML and JSONs. In short, an XML is basically a way for two systems that were built in two separate countries to communicate, or using two separate technologies. The best way in which I can describe it is like the English language. This means that a system of Expedia built in North America using let's say a different programming language can communicate to the WB system, which is built in .NET, hosted on Microsoft Azure, and is built in Romania. And our programmers have never met each other, have never seen each other. But all of these words, XML, API, and more recently JSON, are basically ways for two systems to communicate. That's it. So everybody's on board with what we're going to say. When we say that multiple suppliers have or multiple XMLs, this is what we'll be referencing. Next one. Perfect. Here, I wanted a bit to focus on something that I felt was a problem and nobody knows. It's a sort of hidden thing in the travel industry. You are, at least some of you, and I promise you this happens more often than not, whenever you go to a travel tech company and you watch their website, you are going to see that they have certain logos. This is the standard, the golden standard. Everybody has all the suppliers. Now, I'm using here an example from Expedia. And why am I'm focusing on Expedia? Because Expedia was, to my knowledge, the first company in the world that curated their IT houses. And why would you do that? Why would you stop working with hundreds of IT houses? And I'll just tell you a small story. Expedia in 2019 launched what they call the EPS program, the preferred partner solution, and they focused only on a handful of IT companies. The numbers are what makes this story very sad, is that Expedia they did an internal audit and they saw that they had about 360 IT companies who had their API, but in reality, they ended up only with a handful. WB was the first company that was an APS member, but till now, I think they have 12 to 15 companies. What I wanted for you to understand as a business owner, not all the IT companies are made the same. So if someone has a logo on their website, okay, the Expedia logo can only be posted on a website if a company actually works with Expedia, because right now they have been everybody else except the 12 or 15 companies that we are a part of, they were stopped from installing Expedia. Having said that, a lot of the other wholesalers don't have such a program. So if you look at hotel beds, web beds, and so on, you will see that every company under the sun has their logo on their website. Unfortunately, you need to make your due diligence as a travel owner. Again, I'll come back always to you as a travel business owner. You need to make your due diligence, because in reality, what Expedia has shared with us and what other suppliers are sharing is that you can have a difference of 20 to 80% in inventory, or 0.02 if you use WB, versus what the supplier wants to actually sell. So in reality, the Expedia API being sold to you by a certain company will not get the same hotels as our Expedia API or some other preferred partner API. So when you are making the payment to a particular IT company, please make sure that you know how much inventory you are going to get. You have, and how do you do that? You check with suppliers and you check with other customers. So only after you check, you have to go and spend your hard-earned money, because in reality, once you have paid the money to the IT house and you find out that your top supplier, let's say hotel beds, if hotel beds is your top supplier, but your IT company doesn't have a great connection with hotel beds, you can be having maybe 40% of inventory, which can destroy your entire chances of doing an online business. And that's it about this slide. Okay, next one. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. Here I will jump to Sabine and ask him, how many aggregators would someone need to have, or how many suppliers would you be needing to work with the frame of mind that you are a company doing up to, let's say, maybe 10 million, maybe you're doing 5 million euro a year or $5 million. How many suppliers would you have, or would you need to have to run a business, but also keep your costs under control?
Thanks, Rado. Well, first of all, I'd like to say a big welcome to everyone who has joined the webinar and apparently not having anything else better to do this Wednesday. Nah, I'm joking. You're really going to find out insightful information, especially from my colleague Rado, who's more of a techie, but in sales as well. Who doesn't know about tail travel? Not much to say about, but you're going to find out more about us and about what we believe or what we think about the whole industry, or what made us perform. To answer the question of how many platform suppliers do I need, well, in order to answer this question, I'll address another question, which would be, how well do you know your clients or your customers? So it's not the number of suppliers, or it's not the number of contracts, or it's not the number of hotels which would guarantee the success of a company. Because if you don't know what your clients need in terms of sourcing or product, you can have as much product as you need, but if that product is not relevant, then that doesn't mean you're going to have a success. In terms of suppliers, in our history, about 6 years ago, there was a point when we were doing 65 suppliers, which turned out to be a complete nightmare in terms of operation, in terms of accounting, in terms of payments, in terms of call center, emergency lines, and so on and so on. So now, coming back to the present, my answer would be know your customers, know your clients, know what they need. So in order to provide to the demand, then you reach out to the product and to the right suppliers or partners that you need. So it's not necessarily about how many, it's about how well do you know your clients.
Okay.
And I think
Okay. In reality, let's say, can you give the guys, and we will always come back to this idea of a concrete example. Let's say if you were to be doing maybe 5, 6, 7 million euro a year, where would you see a maximum number of suppliers? Again, from your experience, from what you did with Tail, there is no one size fits all.
That's the amount that we were doing in terms of TTV, which we shared between 65 suppliers. So at that point,
okay,
I think we ended up with a roughly similar amount of TTV back in 2018, if I remember it correctly. We used a different technology before we moved to WBE. So back at that point in time, we were doing 64, 65 suppliers with an average TTV of, I would say, 7 million or 6 million, something. So it was madness. If I go back in time, I would say it was madness. But we've done it and we've been through that. And now I can say that I wouldn't recommend it. Is it correct? Is it not correct? I don't know. But being through that scenario, I would say highly not recommendable.
Okay, so you're obviously, it's been, obviously it didn't help you with the invoicing, it didn't help you with reconciliation, it didn't help you with payments, and definitely you had a bunch of product, and this is why you couldn't scale up. So as a conclusion, we could tell the people that if you probably try to go on the current TTV that we're talking about, around 5 to 6 to 7, 8, if you try to go maybe above 20 suppliers, you're going to probably struggle. This doesn't mean it might not work for you, but you are going to struggle a lot, and you are going to be focusing a lot of your time on other things instead of growing the business. You'll be focusing on operational challenges, let's call them like that, right?
Yes, but some companies or some managers need to experience that in order to get to a certain conclusion. So my honest advice would be just choose your right partners, scale them, and then just become relevant to the handful of partners that treat your company the same as you treat your clients. And it's as simple as that.
Okay. Let's see, next one. How much do you know about your clients? Is it really more better?
This is something that I was saying a little bit earlier, that for example, how much do you know about your clients? Then this is a question that has answers. For example, for us using the technology of WBE, which is a good technology, is not perfect, to be honest. Nothing is perfect in this life, but the technology which WBE has provided for the last 3 years, coming now into the 4th, was that we were able to know what our clients need. Because based on a extremely performant BI, which is a business intelligence, we know and we knew, and obviously we know what our clients are searching, what the look to book is, why a hotel is not booked, why a destination is not booked, is it mapped, is it not mapped, is it the right supplier for the right destination, and so on and so on and so on. And then obviously you need to know about what your competition is doing, because this is how you scale your business, and this is how you maybe adjust and correct where you source the product from. So, and now we're coming back to the conclusion that we've mentioned, that if you copy and if you enhance your competition's products with a lower pricing, then this is one highway to disaster. Because let's just take it, for example, a lot of companies can sign IT houses and then connect as many suppliers in the world. I mean, there are literally hundreds, thousands of suppliers in the world. Everybody can sign a supplier these days. It's not that complicated, and you don't need to be a techie to sign a supplier or a DMC. But then we see this as happening for the last couple of years. It's happening more and more and more. that everyone is copy pasting the product and then just applying a lower markup, and then they think they're gonna win the competition and they're gonna gain market share, which is not happening, because from my point of view, that's a sure highway to disaster. So to answer the question, no, you don't need a lot of product. Yes, you need information. You need maybe a little bit of AI or hefty BI, where you need to know what to sell, when to sell, and who to sell, not have everything and sell everything to everyone in this world, because it's not going to work, or it hasn't worked for us.
Okay, so as an idea, basically try to, let's say, tailor the product and tailor the suppliers to where you are geographically based, or where you have some sort of experience in selling. If you are based in Greece and you have a DMC in Greece and you're selling to people for incoming, to focus your efforts there and to find suppliers that can help you there. If you're focusing on selling the whole world, like most of the leads that we talk to want to sell the whole world, try to
dissipate your energy, dissipate the product, you become irrelevant. And you depend a lot on your source market. Because if you're from a certain source market like Eastern Europe, or you work within the Balkan region, the main destination where the clients are traveling, they're pretty much similar, because the behavior is similar, the registration or the entry of the visas are pretty much similar, with some exclusions. So you don't need to contract, for example, United States, if your main source markets are from Balkans or from Eastern Europe, because we all know it's a different, or it's a struggle, or the amount of the travel itself, it's pretty expensive. So if you're focusing on selling United States to the East European market, then you need to have the right clients in order to do that. So don't lose energy to have all the destinations in the world, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be selling them.
And it's pretty expensive to have lots of suppliers, right?
Well, the more the better is actually the less the better when you talk about budgets, because obviously for every single supplier, you need to have a commercial deposit, an API integration, mapping, escalation file where you know all the departments, who to contact, when to contact, an emergency number, and so on. So the wider portfolio of suppliers will only generate you a lot of struggle, stress, and ultimately your colleagues or departments that are within the company, they literally don't know who to contact and when to contact. So it becomes a little bit of an operational problem. Yeah. Unless, as Radu mentioned at the beginning of the conversation and the webinar, you're a billion-dollar company where you sell literally everything to everyone.
Yeah, so
which is not the case here.
Yeah, not the case for our audience. Okay, then next slide, please. Okay, here I'll just I will not dwell a lot on this, because not everyone is a DMC or wants to be a DMC. Here I'll just state a nice story that we have. If you fall in this story, if you fall in this particular scenario, if you have your own contracts for hotels and you have them with what we call unique or boutique properties, if you have something along those lines, try to consider selling into a GDS. The GDS that we all know, Amadeus, Sabre, Galileo, Westpan, whatever, Sirena, there are multiple ones that keep on popping up. Those GDS companies have something very nice. They have a captive audience, because everybody goes there to book flights. And guess what? They also sell hotels. We have a proof of concept done for a client for the past 5-6 years, where they're doing a couple of hundreds of bookings a day, and they have extraordinarily low numbers of staff, and they have just one customer. They are selling into one of the largest, if not the largest, GDS, and they're selling only their own contracts. But there's one caveat: you cannot sell chains. So if it's a Marriott, Hilton, and Intercontinental, Accor, whatever type of chain, the GDS already has all the chains, so they don't care about it. But if you are selling your own contracts with, let's call them boutique properties or non-chain like properties, you can literally make an entire company strategy by making that. We have seen it work. We have been powering a company for the past 5-6 years, and the numbers are very nice towards incredible with what you can do with one single client if you have the correct inventory, because the GDS will give you a lot of traffic. There are literally hundreds of thousands of travel agents that log in 3 or 4 GDSs every single day. All of them book flights, but some of them book hotels. And trust me, the numbers are there. Can you push to the next one, please? Yeah, I will I will pass this to Sabine. It's obviously something something of I don't know, something of a wishful thinking. But Sabine, can you give us some practical tips? I don't know, 2 or 3 practical tips, but that people can go home and literally use tomorrow regarding how can they negotiate better rates or better deals or better incentives with the suppliers that we all know and love.
Yeah, thank you for adding this question on the webinar. I think it's one of the most important questions that managers need to address themselves before addressing this question to their business partner. Because it's apparently an easy question, but it's one of the most complicated, because any negotiated rate or any best rate or any best deals, whatever you want to name them, affects budgets. So in order to avoid a situation where you become a little bit uncomfortable as a supplier, as a client, which both of us were chasing the best deals, by the way, I would suggest to build a business case where you're acting as a client. And then when you're trying to negotiate with a partner, whether it's Tail Travel or whether it's another business partner of yours, supplier, DMC, or whatever, just pitch him an idea or pitch him a business case where you come up with targeted sales, do a business together for the next year, this year or next year, so that the supplier can see the value in the partnership. And it's about partnership because it becomes a partnership and a solid partnership when the client receives best rates, but that also has implications, as we were talking previously, about the number of suppliers. So if you're willing to negotiate best deals or best rates with some of your suppliers, then it's a direct responsibility from your side in order not to dissipate your business, where you will focus only on a handful or a couple of suppliers who know the value of your business and who can help your business grow. Because this is one of the most important questions, as I said earlier. It's about how you can make your business grow through best deals and best rates, but by scaling up the business with only the suppliers or the partners, which are going to be here for you for the long run.
Sabine, do you, for example, is it customary for people to negotiate certain deals per city or per region or per period? For example, I'm just let's consider I'm the target of the audience of the anti-webinar. So I'm the target, and I have, I don't know, 4 million euro TTV, and I'm trying to negotiate with a couple of suppliers. What are some concrete steps that I could go into negotiating? For example, can I go and tell the guys, hey, give me inventory for the Maldives, but give me the best price that you have for the next 3 months, so I can present to them a business case, meaning, hey, I have a marketing campaign planned for the Maldives. I'm just talking about Romanians because this period is good for traveling. Is this something that you see suppliers be more flexible towards versus telling them, hey, give me the best rate all across the world? Are suppliers more incentivized or happier to give you a good deal or an incredible deal if you reach, I don't know, 300,000 euro towards Maldives bookings for the next 3 months? Does this happen in a day-to-day case scenario?
Yes, the answer is yes, and this applies to every single supplier around the planet and applies to every single client in the industry. But before you receive the answer yes, you need to follow up some steps where firstly you need to log into your BI, because this is what we do. We use the BI from WBE and we see the general trends and patterns. and we know the behavior based on previous years or previous quarters. So we know that, for example, now is beginning of November, and there's going to be a spike in sales for the Maldives destinations, or for Thailand, or for the Central America. So we know that from the history that we have. And also, if you have this information, you can just follow in your BI which suppliers have generated the most TTV based on your previous experience, and then just pinpoint and target only those 2, 3, 4 destinations with those business partners that you have. And from my point of view, the answer is yes. I mean, we would say yes to every single one, as long as there is a business case where there is an added value, or the sales would increase by 10, 12, 20%, whatever, based on the business case that we have. So we're coming back to using API, having analytics, having previous history, knowing your clients, also knowing the booking window, because sometimes based on seasonality or based on the events that happen in the world, the booking window tends to extend or tends to shrink, as we've seen 3 weeks ago with the events happening in the Middle East. There was a little bit of a slowdown, but during the last 2 weeks, everything is bumping back to normal, and the booking window has shortened during the last couple of weeks. So yes, you can negotiate best deals with your external suppliers.
So to put it in a sort of soundbite for people watching us. First of all, have a plan. Having a plan beats not having a plan. So have a plan is number one. By plan, make a plan of what you want to sell, and go to your supplier and show them a professional way of approaching a market. If you are professional about approaching a supplier, they will know that you are professional about marketing to your customers about that.
Plus, you need figures. You need real figures. I mean, where you justify an action and where you can target a secondary action based on the new deal or the negotiated ones. So you need figures, and you need a business plan in order to put it on the table, so we can analyze, or we can both analyze, because at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers.
Okay.
However you want to put it, it's all about the numbers.
Okay. So have a plan, have numbers about the plan, and then go into an approach of checking, using a BI like WB has, or using even Microsoft Excel for that matter, and check your historical track record. And with that, make a realistic plan to the top suppliers. So don't approach everyone with the same deal, because obviously you're going to fail.
You're dissipating again. You're dissipating your business, you're diluting your business, and it's not going to help you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this is valuable information for when you sign first time the contract, as well when you try to renegotiate. So keep in mind after this. I know, Sabine, you mentioned before, we talked about the hotel listing. If you have 1,000 hotels in the booking engine, you can sell let's say 200 from that 1,000 that can bring you the most the best deals and the best turnover.
The business case is simple, and we're coming back to the number of suppliers. So for example, you connect 10 suppliers, which everyone now is saying that they have plus 1 million hotels worldwide. So for example, you have 10 suppliers, this means you have 10 million suppliers, 10 million hotels, which are actually the same hotels, but you have 10 times the similar hotel distributed through a different supplier or partner. We've done an analysis in our business for the this year, 2023, and our top 100 hotels worldwide has generated 37% of our business. So you don't need millions of hotels. You don't need hundreds of thousands of hotels, because guess what? 99% of them, they're going to be booked, but they're going to be close to irrelevant. So if you're focusing, or if you keep your focus specifically on what your clients need, then you're going to most likely have a little bit of success. So if you're willing to consolidate the core business, it's close to impossible in not having a little bit of success, if not success itself.
This
Okay,
could be
so this-
another negotiation bridge by only selling high volumes on particular hotel, let's say.
There's obviously there's no point in negotiating the products which are not selling because
Yeah.
you're not selling them.
Okay. Next one. So as a final note on this, to look at your top sellers, if you have a bit of history, if you have a BI, or if you have even a Microsoft Excel export, focus on your top sellers and try to get a better deal from your top selling suppliers on those particular hotels. I know for a fact most of the hotels that most of the suppliers that we deal with, they have a granular markup profile that allows them to reduce the markup for a particular property. So as Sabine said, and this is very important for everyone to understand, a company of their size having 37 or 38% of their revenue coming from 100 hotels for at least for the 10 months that have passed till now means that in reality you have a lot of not used inventory. Everybody will love, and I'm sure this resonates across the board with the OTAs. This resonates with all of our clients. So it happens more often than you think to sell only a couple of properties. So even if you negotiate 2 or 3 deals with a particular supplier like Hotelbeds or Expedia or whatever, those 2 or 3 deals could give you 20% more TTV with that particular supplier because your clients are booking specific properties. If you are a TMC in Greece, if you are a corporate client in Portugal or whatever. Can we see the next slide?
Here I want to dive into own contracts with hotels and what you can do to make the most of this particular action of owning contracts with hotels. In terms of a travel wholesaler or a DMC, what's the best case study for each type of business?
Before we jump to this slide, there's a question which Salah has asked. I think it's dedicated to Radu about convincing the GDSs to buy from your own contracts. Sorry, I'm not paying attention earlier.
Yeah, I know. We are gonna address the question by the end of the webinar, so we don't.
Okay. Oh, so we're answering questions at the end.
Yeah, in the end.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll answer it in the Q&A. I saw it. Yeah, Salah is one of our good clients. Because not a lot of people are DMCs, I'll answer the part with the DMCs and I'll leave Sabine to answer you the wholesaler part. As a DMC, I can tell you that a couple of years ago, everybody was saying that static contracts have died and everybody will move to dynamic. I can tell you that it partially happened. Still, a majority of our clients still have static contracts and they're doing very well. Some people have moved to dynamic, but in reality, these figures on the screen that Claudia put up, 12 to 28%, these are the typical markups that we are seeing on average posted by our clients who are selling boutique or unique hotels. I want to make this differentiation. So not selling chain properties, the different story via dynamic. Properties that our clients control, properties that are getting a lot of their bookings from our clients, and these are the typical markups that that our clients are putting. And having said that, for a lot of the people in this webinar, obviously these markups are to die for, are super nice, are incredible, but we see them, so they are actual real markups that people can sell. Now, for Sabine's side, can you, as a wholesaler who hasn't ever done direct contracts, who doesn't have 40 or 50 years like some of our clients doing this, what was your experience, Sabine, as a wholesaler who sells a lot of third parties? How was your experience as a contracting in 2023? How did you find it?
We're always coming back to previous questions or previous answers. From us, it was a losing battle this year, and the answer was simple. And the answer is simple because it's what we said a little bit earlier. As long as you dissipate your business and you're not relevant for the hotels, you won't be able to contract them. So it's the same question. How do I ask, how can I negotiate better rates with my suppliers? Well, suppliers for us, they are the hotels. So if you're trying to contract a hotel directly, he's going to ask for revenue or for number of nights or for a high number of bookings. And if you say yes, and if you don't deliver, obviously you're going to lose the contract. So we're just coming back and forth in how you become relevant as a client or as a supplier for your business partner. And it's all about being strategic, or it's all about building a solid business with a handful of hotels or for a limited number of hotels, because based on the size of our company, we are not able to contract worldwide. So we use local DMCs or local partners where they have 2,000, 3,000 hotels, and they are already relevant. For example, in Maldives, tail travel is irrelevant in Maldives. Nobody knows about us in terms of direct contracting. So what we do, we go to a local source, sign a partnership, a preferred partnership, and then we're sourcing the product directly. If we would do that by ourselves, as I said at the beginning of the question, it's a losing battle. And no company our size, that's my opinion, no company our size can contract worldwide unless they do that as a long-term strategy, and they will see results in 5 years, I would say.
Understand. This is good for people to know. I know at least some of the audience members have been let's say bumping into this, because they are some of these clients.
Everybody's dreaming about 12% up to 28%, as you said. Is that achievable? I don't think so. Or not for small size companies or medium sized companies. That's unachievable on a medium to low term. On a long term, I would say yes. But you need volumes. You need volumes. Hotel needs volume.
Or maybe it's available for companies that start the business with a large portfolio of hotels already, and then they can only focus on that. And they say like
the large portfolio of hotels are only available through big OTAs, Booking.com, Agoda, Expedia, and then you have Hotelbeds, who has worldwide product, Webeds, and so on. I mean, do you want to seriously compete with those guys? I find it close to impossible. So if you focus on contracting Romania, for example, or Bulgaria, or Greece, or our region, yes, you might have a chance, but you need to allocate time and resources, and most likely you're going to see results between 3 to 5 years. If you're doing that in the right way, with the right technology, right business partner, right IT partner, and I know for a fact that you have the direct contracting tool as well. So you provide all this technology, you just need the right client that has the time and the resources to do that.
And don't go worldwide, just focus on a specific area. Yeah, that's good advice.
Okay. I mean, you can go worldwide, but you need to sell the contract once you sign it, because otherwise you just lost a lot of time and resources. I mean, I would want to sign, I don't know, Hilton in Paris. Would I be able to sell it to the same level that my competition does? I don't think so. So it's a losing battle. Obviously, Hotelbeds, Expedia, they're going to sell 10 times, 20 times, 100 times more than you. So the hotel will just close your contract. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Or maybe choose a niche, let's say, where you can contract directly, let's say like for a spa, or I know for glamping or yurts, or all sorts of unusual accommodation properties, to focus on that specific niche may work.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Okay. The next one, I think we beat this up. The next one.
Still about the rates. Now we're going to static. Static still a thing.
I mentioned a bit statics. There have been, if you search on Google, if you do this exercise just for me, you will see that a lot of articles have been written that static is dying. Obviously, static hasn't died with all the nice articles. It's something similar to Bitcoin. Everybody writes that that static is dying. In reality, static is not going to die anytime soon. Sometimes dynamic rates are far more expensive than static rates, and I see it in our system for some of the clients. It's a place for both. Having said that, dynamic somehow has been associated with the big chains. So if you work with the big chains, again, in my experience, which extends to somehow Europe and the Middle East and a bit of Asia, the big chains will no longer give you static contracts. Again, don't take it black or white. In some cases, you might be able to have to be lucky, but as a general rules, the big chains are usually have moved to dynamic, most of them. And when you say static, you mean more or less the boutique or unique hotels. Having said that, there is a market for boutique and unique hotels, and there is a market for chains. This is why, if you want to go there, I think if you can literally make a huge business just by reselling a couple of hotels in a particular destination, and we're seeing this in with one of our clients in Vegas. So in reality, you can sell only a couple of hotels and make a tremendous business, but you have to focus on that, coming back to what Sabine said. So if you try to be a great DMC in Vegas, but also sell Malaysia on the other side of the world, or have the best Hilton rate in Paris, you will need a huge team, and your cost per booking will go up tremendously. We can look at the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, manage is the middle part, the core of the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next, please.
Yeah. In terms of people, let's go straight to the most interesting question of the whole slide.
How many people are required for a 30 million euro business? Sabine, again, just to preface this, it doesn't mean that your answer is the best. It doesn't mean that you have the best idea. Neither we and neither any of our audience. Everyone's business is different. Having said that, for tail travel specifically, what are your current staff numbers versus to around, let's say, to a 30 million euro business? And how did you reach to have these numbers, this number of staff, and how do you calculate it? And hopefully the people back home or working from their offices, whatever, are going to benchmark against their own numbers, and we'll see where they fall.
Yeah. Coming back to the whole purpose of the webinar, it's not about us being right or wrong. Don't take this as a successful advice. It's just that we've learned ourselves for the last 8 years, and we've learned it through a lot of mistakes, because going back in time, as I have admitted during the webinar, we made a lot of mistakes, as any manager or as any company does. You learn from your mistakes, and then once you start learning from those mistakes, you start to understand them, obviously, and then you start to improve by adjusting per department, per tool. You start to work with the right IT partner, as we did 3 years ago. For the moment, before we go to the numbers, the reason why we initially have chosen WBE was for the automation part and the tools which we can provide more automatic procedures and projects that we have in-house. Now, having said that, as long as we are not a contracting company itself, so the contracting department is like the smallest, we do have operational department, finance department, accounting department, sales department, international sales department, and the board. You can scale, I believe you can scale at 30 million euros business up to 20 staff. And I would say that's close to being more than enough. You also need to have backups, and you also need to adjust yourself for future expansion. So you need a little bit of an extra staff. But I would say, as an honest point of view, I would say you can do it up to 20. By using the right IT house and the right automatic tools and gadgets, they can save you a lot of time and money at the end of the day, because it's all about the budgets and the funds and so on.
Okay, so if I make a quick calculation just for the heck of it, let's say, right now for you, again, taking into account future growth and taking into account that you might want to grow more into the same staff or maybe hire different people, for you, currently for Tail, you're looking at around 1.5 million euro TTV per person, roughly speaking.
And I would say we can extend it to more than 2.
Okay, so
because this whole year, 2023, was a pain in the back for everyone in the company, because we started a lot of optimization projects. Just what, all of them during the same time in the same year. So it was really challenging, but now most of the automation projects have been finished, established, and it's just like everything is working by themselves.
Okay, so basically you would say anywhere between 1.5 to 2 million would be fantastic, I would call it.
Reachable. Reachable.
Okay, so it's nice. Now, depending on where our audience falls into, if they fall outside or if they fall inside this number, or if they have 4 million per staff, obviously it's even better. But just to give you
the general idea, the general idea for any company, regardless of the size they are, or regardless of the size they target, the more IT tools that you use, or the most automatic processes that you have, like auto invoicing, auto refunds, importing of statements, reconciliation of statements, payments, reconfirmation, and so on. As long as you're able to do this optimization, then obviously your expenditures and your costs per HR, they're going to stay low or go lower. But as long as you don't use these automation processes, which we haven't used for the first couple of years, and then we started rebranding ourselves into the most automatic company in the region. So it's a long process. At the beginning, it's extremely painful, and it has a lot of risks. But as long as you're willing to do that, all these processes are here to help. They're not here to provide you discomfort or problems.
Okay, some of the slides will address that, so we can go to the next one, because regarding how you do that, yeah, obviously the next one.
This is the one.
Next one,
Yeah.
yeah, relates to it. Now, Sabine, I just want to preface this. Most probably, most of you will already know this, so we are not telling you anything new. What I want Sabine to help us with is to tell us, from his point of view, for the company which he established, how do you concretely, what do these points mean for you? I know a lot of people have different understandings. Most of our audience most probably already has done all of these, so we're not preaching to the choir here. But for your company, what do these steps actually mean? For example, I'm not a travel guy, I'm an IT guy. What does it mean to connect your bank account? Give us explain it like we're five in regards to what does it mean to connect your bank account with a particular software.
Okay, so this is a recent project that we have finished. We've done it with a company in Romania. It's called OMC, obviously together with your help, WB's help. OMC.
No, it's about the ERP. We can answer it later.
So what we did, we connected WB with ERP from OMC. So once we get once we get like a payment from a client, either whether it's a credit card payment or bank transfer, and the ERP reconciliates the statement and sends back the information to WBE. So like it's an ongoing circle between auto invoicing from WBE, client receiving the statement, and then client paying in the bank, and then from the bank to the ERP, there's a file which is called, I forgot the name, and then it connects the ERP. Yeah, it's a technical file, Costin knows it. And then it connects to the ERP where you have the invoice, and it just marks it as already paid. And this was done in the past. This was done manually. So we were investing a lot of time and resources on manual work. We were late with issuing invoices. We were late on issuing statements. We were late on marking bookings as paid. But that's finished. So now having all this automation in place is like you can scale your business as much as you want, because you don't depend on the resources that much at the moment.
On human resources, let's say.
Yes, human resources, yes.
We will answer the questions afterwards. Carmen is helping us with some questions, so we will go through them. Sabine, only one point. So basically, you gave people concrete examples of for auto invoicing. What the ERP does is basically fully automated. For example,
I'm going to give an example. human possible, we were one of our colleagues was able to invoice 150 bookings a day.
Super,
Manual
super. We have
work.
some real numbers.
Manual work. I mean, during the 8 hours, it's like 150 bookings, doing 150 invoices. Now
Wow.
we can do 15,000 a day, an hour, a minute, because everything is automatic. So you no longer depend on the human resource to scale your business, so you're no longer frightened to grow your business because you need more staff, and the more staff you generate, more costs and so on. So as long as you streamline the process into becoming it as much as possible automated, then your business can grow and further expand.
Okay, and here I have just one question to not dwell too much on this, because definitely we want to go to the Q&A. Here we wrote, just go online and use automation. Obviously, there's a lot of companies that had a bad experience. I have had more than 15,000 meetings with companies across the world. Everybody has had an experience with an IT house. Very little have had a good first experience. Most of the clients that I meet, some of them had 5 bad experiences until they started to work with us. Now, when we wrote just go online and use automation, just go online means don't be scared of moving online. If you have an offline business, definitely moving it online will allow you to scale it up. This is number 1. And number 2, if you had an ERP connection that failed miserably, it doesn't mean that you failed miserably or if your IT failed miserably. It's just a complex situation, and systems work. We have worked with the creme de la creme. We have integration with Salesforce, with SAP, with Oracle, with the top of the top of the top in terms of ERP companies. Don't think that everything works flawlessly from day one. There are scenarios, situation, cases where stuff doesn't happen, and Sabine knows this. It doesn't mean that it has to deter you from going live. This is what we wanted to say with this.
I can share with you guys our experience from this year. We started this year, we embarked on a project with one of, I'm not going to give the name.
No, please.
But we started the ERP project this year with one of the top 5 companies worldwide providers of ERP. And after 6 months of investment, hard work, pain work,
painful, yeah.
Is not going to work. We decided that we have to put a stop on it and just use another project. So what Radu is saying, if you're having a bad experience, it doesn't mean that all other solution providers are the same. It's just that it's either not meant for you, or it's either we're not on the same page with that particular partner. Or it can take up to 2 or 3 examples, bad examples, and then at the end of the day, you're just going to sort it out. Plus, you're gaining experience and you know more and more about what your company needs in terms of ERP and automation.
Before we dive into, let's say, AI, people need to have automation before we talk about AI. Okay, we can go to the next slide. These are just some practical points.
That was just like a trial and error case. The overbookings. It's story time. So
I'll leave Sabine to this. Basically, what do you do? What do you recommend? Again, with the focus on cold, hard facts that people need to hear regarding the type of supplier that is prone to overbookings, the type of hotel that is prone to overbookings, and what are some horrible advices, horrible in air quotes, what are some advices that people maybe don't want to hear that they have to focus on, because I know for a fact what you are doing for your company, and just share what you have done to decrease overbookings and what is your current overbooking level, Sabine.
Okay. This is again one of the hot topics in the travel industry. The overbookings, unfortunately, it's something which is going to stick with us forever. It's not something that you can avoid, unfortunately. It happened with us, even for bookings which we had reconfirmed. So imagine we had hotel confirmation numbers for a booking, which ultimately resulted in an overbooking, and the booking was rejected by the hotel for different reasons, obvious reasons, from some points of view. What we're doing, and we're doing this for the last 8 years, or ever since we established the company, we reconfirm all the bookings manually. We used to do it manually. Now we have an automatic process, which we've done it together with WB as well. So we obtain the hotel confirmation number either from our supply partners or either from the hotels directly. This year, the overbooking ratio was 0.00 something. So it's like close to non-existent, but it still exists. So this was the reconfirmation process that we have put in place since day one, which was also consuming a lot of resources. So we were thinking on how we can reconfirm the booking on an automatic process, and we started this project. It's still not finished, but it's helped us tremendously into avoiding overbookings, which overbookings affect budgets because you need compensations, you need a better alternative, more expensive alternatives, and so on.
Okay. We can go to the next one. Just to so obviously this is also a place where IT and the improving processes would help you. Supplier payments. You said that you used to do around 6-7 million euro. You had 60 plus 64, 65 suppliers. Just give us an idea on how you manage supplier payments now.
Most of them were twice a month. So imagine paying 65 suppliers twice a month. That's 130 payments a month.
Crazy.
And some payments, I remember, they were 400 euros, 300 euros. So we ended up paying a supplier in Malaysia $300 statement, and paying the bank commission about 30 or 35 or 25. So that's what I was saying. It was complete madness. So how you can streamline the payments? That's very easy. Limit the number of your supply. Just use the right partners. You don't need a supply partner in Vietnam unless you sell 500,000 a year. You don't need a local supplier in Dominican Republic or in Central America unless you sell a couple of millions a year, and so on and so on and so on. Because the more payments you're going to make, the more bank costs you're going to have, analysis, statement analysis, and so on. So how can you streamline them? That's very simple. Select a handful of suppliers or business partners, negotiate your payments to go towards a monthly payment based on a security deposit or a commercial deposit, and then you're good to go.
Okay. This makes sense for also being able to target all the questions. We will focus only when we will give specific answers to each point, so we can also answer people. Can we have the next slide, Claudia?
Yeah, for sure. Well.
Okay. Here I'll just tell you. It will take me a minute. Basically, we have why we are good at telling you our opinion, because WB has installed close to 50 or 60 payment gateways across 15 years of doing this. So we are quite relevant, and we know a lot of payment gateways, from Stripe to JP Morgan to PayPal to everything in between, from Amazon. So we are quite relevant from this regard. What clients, and when I say clients, I mean leads as well. What clients usually do is this: they focus on the commission, who is giving me the cheapest commission. Sometimes they ask about the processing time, almost never about security. What I want to say is that it's totally wrong. It's literally the opposite of what you have to do. First of all, you have to ask about security, because we have had clients that had problems with fraud, and they lost so much money during the fraud because of the payment gateway, and the payment gateway didn't help them at all. Moment in which, even if they have chosen the cheapest supplier commission-wise, the fact that during a particular event, the client was not supported, he lost more money than anything. This is number one. Number two, about processing time. You need to focus on processing time. If someone gives you the money within a week, it's very different than if someone gives you the money within a day. Obviously, you can incur cash flow problems. And number three is the commission. Never, ever, ever focus on the commission, because everyone focuses on the commission, but security, processing time, and commission has to be the third one. And I'll just give you an example of one of our clients. They used to have what I consider to be a customer-focused payment gateway. It's a very famous one in America, which has a blue logo. And they have lost around $86,000 within a couple of transactions for people charging back to them. This payment gateway received from my client. They received all the vouchers. They received video proof from the hotel that the client has checked in. They received information from the airline that the client has traveled. It meant nothing because this particular payment gateway used to have Elon Musk as a founder. This particular payment gateway is very client-centric. So it protects you as a client. It gives you the money back, then it asks a question later. So whenever we recommend the payment gateway to a client, we recommend a very B2B or merchant-focused payment gateway, not a client-focused payment gateway. Just this decision, making a bad decision, we have seen companies lose 5 to 6 figures just by choosing wrongly here. Can we see the next slide, please? Okay, mapping services. Now, obviously, Sabine is in a better spot than me because he has used 2 of the major worldwide mapping services. What I want to say is that not all mapping services are the same. There is a lot of marketing happening in the let's call it in the mapping space. And for you to be protected, I would say be careful and choose a company that gives you a chance to try out their services first of all. This would be my only take. There are a lot of aspects regarding mapping, technical aspects, but as a tech house that has worked with the major mapping services in the world, I would say that you have to focus on trying out the service. And Sabine can tell you his experience about using some of the largest vendors in this space.
I'm not going to say this is another hot topic or hot sauce for the online companies, but it defines the level of your success. So if your mapping process, maybe you map it manually. I mean, maybe you don't need, you're a smaller company which does manual mapping, or maybe you're a medium or large that uses one of the company's logos which are here shown, or other mapping companies. But what I want to say is that you don't need to think about budgets when you're choosing your mapping partner. You need to think about the quality, and you need to think about how you can show your product better than your competition. Because we come back to the different topic that we had earlier, whereas everyone is selling cheaper than the competition and thinks they're going to win the client. You don't have to do that. Why don't you get a better mapping solution and sell more expensive than your competition? Nobody's thinking, or there are companies which are thinking of doing that, but why don't you want to invest more in something which provides more quality, more curated product, so that the client will book with you, even if it's cheaper or even if it's more expensive, but then the hotel is not being shown in your competition website. So what my opinion is, whether you choose A or B or C, just choose quality over price, because a lower price for a mapping tool is like you're putting your kids, I mean, there's a parallel which I'm always using, is like you're putting your kids in a second-hand car. Would you do that? No. So why would you put your business in the hands of a company which doesn't necessarily provide you the right tools? So you might as well just get the right product, even if it's more expensive.
Okay.
I'm curious about the fact that mapping, it's something that we all should know about, but is there anybody in here that want to raise a hand and want to ask something about the mapping services, about destination mapping, hotel mapping, or what is it about room mapping? Is there somebody that doesn't know exactly what mapping is?
Yeah, I think we made the point. If someone wants to ask a question, they will write it in the chat or in the Q&A. There are 3 levels of mapping. It's destination, hotel, and room mapping, as Claudia said. And there is no, and I can tell you from the IT perspective, there is no company, regardless of their great marketing, and trust me, there's some incredibly, I would love for our company, Sabine's company, and everyone, all of your companies to do marketing like some of the mapping companies do. I have seen probably some of the best travel marketing being done by mapping companies. So in reality, don't look at the hype. Nobody does anything close to a perfect mapping. So nobody has destination, hotel, and room mapping fully pinned down. And I mean nobody. This is the only rule in mapping. And what you want to choose depends on you. WB has multiple options for mapping. You can choose whatever makes sense for you. But trust me that nobody is the perfect choice in terms of mapping. Can we see the next slide, please?
Another one thing here, sorry, another one thing. I know we're a little bit late, but there's the previous topic which I'm coming back again, where you're requesting best rates from your suppliers, and you're always requesting promos, or you want the best rates on the planet. But if you don't handle your mapping, then you're negotiating the rates for nothing, because you're not going to have a result because you don't have mapping. So it's a vicious circle.
So invest, help yourself. Let's say, help yourself, help yourself sell more, and do your due diligence with the mapping more than other areas. Let's say, to call it like that, to leave it as a.
I would arrange the mapping before I would address a certain supplier to give me the rates.
Okay, this is good. This is good. Okay, next slide, please.
Let's talk about selling. Everybody wants to hear about this. So we're gonna go straight to the question how you can increase the margin for your hotel bookings. And this is what I want to hear from both of you a little bit.
I'll leave Sabine just for time's sake, and also because I want to go through questions. Sabine, tell us your experience. It doesn't mean it's the best, or it doesn't. It's all encompassing. But tell us, for you, how did you increase your margins, and how do you see increasing margins? Just a couple of points.
It's a combination of factors, most of them which are on the long run. One of the reasons was that we became premium partners or strategic partners with all of our supply channels. So we became relevant. Therefore, obviously, we are preferred in the region. So we receive somehow better deals. Then secondly, increasing
concretely, what do you mean? I'll tell you what I understand. We booked more. We paid on time. This would be my understanding. We booked more, we paid on time, and we had promises and commitments that we told them we will do X for Maldives, coming back to our previous example, and we went and did at least that. Is this what you mean by becoming a premium?
The example is simple. So if you're selling 1 million euros hotel bookings, whether you're a small company, travel agency, B2B, Bedbank, whatever, if you dissipate that million to a lot of companies, suppliers, then you're going to have a certain margin, like an average. But if you shrink the number of suppliers to a limited amount, you become relevant, and then the margins is going to go higher just because you are relevant with only a handful of suppliers. So we're coming back again. The more suppliers you have, it's actually damaging your business, because you're not increasing the margins, because you're not doing business with the right suppliers. Secondly, there is a general hype in the travel industry, which has been launched for the last couple of years. There are companies which help you increase your margins. You just have to go online and look for them. I'm not going to tell you what they're doing or the name of the companies which are doing it, but there are optimizations which you can put in place based on partnerships with IT companies, which will help you increase your margins even by double digits at some particular points, literally by doing nothing.
Okay, so rebooking solutions that work while you sleep. This would be the gist of it.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. It's something on for growing. Can you upsell the services to your travelers or to your buyers? I know that for a specific part of the travel, you don't only book for a hotel or a flight, you also book a rent a car also. So is it possible to do
There's
this?
an industry report. Yeah, there's an industry report where for each 100 hotels bookings, you can get up to 20% transfer bookings. So for every 100, you get 20 transfer bookings, and you have the chance of having also roughly around 20 to 25% of your total bookings in hotels for activities such as tours and local guides or whatever. So if you're doing 100 bookings, hotel bookings, you might be losing up to 45 bookings for additional services if you're not providing transfers and tours and activities to the same clients that they book those 100 hotel bookings.
So basically,
It's a simple question.
Yeah, to become a one-stop shop where they can find all the services.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Next one. Again, just being mindful of time.
Yeah. We still need to keep a few minutes for the Q&A.
Yeah.
Technology here. I want to.
Here I'll basically I can talk for hours about this. So unfortunately, I'll just keep it to a couple of seconds. There is no best technology for you, and some companies work far better than others. What I have seen through 15 years of doing this is that people don't do their due diligence. Again, it comes back to what Sabine said in terms of making a plan. So if you're not making a plan, if you don't make a plan, you plan to fail. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. So in reality, you need to do your due diligence. So you have to look at similar sized companies as yours and see if they are using the particular IT house that you're looking for. I'll just give an example of UK, so I'll not focus on our clients. If you are trying to launch a business in the UK and you go to the most famous Spanish company out there and as a tech, and you see that they have 0 clients in the UK space, and you sign blindly the contract because you think that they have some clients in the Middle East or some clients in Spain, don't expect your experience to be flawless. In the same case, I have a company in a Scottish or Irish company, whatever, a tech house that is extraordinarily famous for not being extraordinarily honest. And a lot of people sign with them for totally wrong reasons, meaning they are trying to launch a sort of Expedia, let's say a hotel and flight focused platform, but that company sells totally something, a different service. And I have been just in the past months, I have seen three companies that have signed with them for a product they don't have, they couldn't showcase, and they signed blindly and spent close to 5 or 6 figures in some cases for a product that the IT company doesn't have. Again, when I'm saying it like that, it sounds intuitive. Of course, it's going to. Of course, I'm going to do my due diligence. But in reality, people don't do that. They look at the brand, they see that the company has been doing business for 20 or 30 years. So they assume, of course, they're going to build Expedia for me and I'm going to pay them $86,000. And after 1 year, the client comes to me and says, yeah, sorry, I lost the money with those guys. They promised the world and the moon. So the advices here are very clear. Do they meet 19% or more than 90% of your product market fit? And they can show you samples. If the answer is even maybe no, forget about it, close the deal and don't focus on that, because the chances of an IT company building your particular product are 0. They will not build from scratch another software just to take care of you. What is the best travel booking platform? Again, are your competitors already using them? Are they flexible in customization? I would argue, even if they say they are flexible, in reality, most companies won't be flexible. So it comes back to the first advice. Make sure that you ask the questions to them and make sure that your competitors that are doing business in your local market are using them. Because if you are going to a South American brand just because of the cost, let's be honest, if you go to a South American brand, if you go to a South American brand, but you are based in Eastern Europe, the chances for that company having everything for you or being able to build all of your connections to local companies, to payment gateways, to rebooking solutions are very slim to none. So you will get trapped with the price. You will get hooked on the South American price and say, hey, great, I'm paying, I don't know, triple digits, whatever, 4 digits per year for the software, but in reality, it will never work. While on a local level, that company is flawless. It delivers on time, on budget for everyone there. So what we are trying to say is that not all IT companies are the same. Finding your own means ask the right questions and focus on who is using them. And if you are trying to launch an OTA and that company doesn't have 10 OTAs launched, you're just prepping yourself to get scammed. The next slide, please.
Then can I have a minute?
Yeah.
Just a minute, Claudia.
Yeah. No worries.
Sure.
From my point of view, after 15 years of experience in IT platforms, no IT platform or tech house in the world is perfect. But there's also a problem in terms of the clients, because the clients, well, they have a budget of, let's just say, 10,000 euros, and they think they're going to turn it into a 3 million TTV per month. So everybody has to be realistic. And there is another study in the industry where it shows that the amount of money you pay to the IT house monthly should be somewhere between 15 to 20% of the TTV of the profit which you're making a month. So if you're making, I don't know, 10,000 profit a month, 10 to 12 or 20% you have to pay to the IT house. So don't dream about having an IT house which you're paying 4,000 or 5,000 euros a month, and you dream about doing 50 millions a month, because that doesn't happen in the world. So we all need to be realistic that the amount of money you pay to an IT house has a direct implication on the performance of the system which you're going to be using. So if somebody is telling you that you're going to be making 10 million euro a month, then they're going to probably be charging you a lot of money, or they're not going to be delivering. So we need to keep our expectations very low. Expectations, we need to keep our expectations very low when you're going to an IT house, because it's not going to happen overnight.
Super nice point. I didn't know about this, but it's super nice. The idea that you have only two options. You either calculate 10 to 20% of the IT house, or you're getting scammed, to put it mildly. Or you're getting trapped by marketing, as Claudia would like to call it.
Yeah. And regarding marketing, how about the upgrade? Because there are a few companies, several companies that market that they have several upgrades per month or per year, and some of them have like 2 upgrades per year. Is this something that you need to ask for your tech partner, or at least find out if they do the upgrade?
Can I be the first?
Yeah, this is the last slide, so I'll just keep it with my experience. We as a company, we do multiple updates, but we do an update per week, so you can calculate how many weeks are in a year, 52 or 54, or however many. Now, what I want to say is something else, and it relates back to the choosing your IT company. If you have a plan to be very dynamic, if you have a plan of moving fast, if you have a plan of launching AI features, and you are trying to build an OTA for a niche industry, please try to find a company that you feel mirrors your own image. Because if you're going to go to a well-established brand that has a very low update cycle. There are companies that I particularly know that update once per year their entire platform. That type of company, it doesn't mean that they are scammers. They are a perfectly good company, but they are going to not have a market fit over your industry, over your expectations. So you are going to feel unhappy, misaligned. You will spend, like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of pounds per year, and you will not feel happy with the end result. So you need to make sure that the company's update schedule and the company's culture fits to what you're trying to do. So this goes back to asking the right questions before you pay the money. And I'll leave Sabine, and then we start the Q&A.
This question applies perfectly to the experience we had during the last 8 years. Before moving to WBE, we were using an extremely great technology, and I see Benji's here with us. Regards, Benji. So we were using a technology which was based on a white label. What does that mean? You just get the white label of their tech solution, and that's about it. I mean, you can't change a color, you can't add a button, you can't change any specific. You just use it as it is. Whereas when we have moved to WBE, we found a different company which takes a lot of risks and a lot of gambles, which you need to understand as a client, that having weekly upgrades, sometimes they don't work properly. So if you're not able to understand this, or if you're not able to take this risk and embrace it, maybe it's not the right company for you. For us, it was okay. And now we got to a point where we understand that nothing is perfect in the IT world, and some system updates, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Although the percentage for WB is rather high, I would say it's more than 95% from the updates which they work. I wouldn't say that for us it was better in the past or right now. If we judge by the numbers that we're achieving right now, I would say yes, this option is better for us. But what is suitable for another client, I wouldn't know. It depends, like, on the profile of the client, as I said.
Okay. Now,
Let's, because of I'm mindful of time, let's jump into the Q&A directly.
yeah,
Okay?
I will go first with the chat, so address it by
Go.
the order that they come. How to convince the GDS to buy from you? Yeah, your own.
Ok, I'll answer it. Vezi că apare ceva pe ecran.
Okay. Let me handle it.
Okay, perfect. First of all, the GDS is easily convinced. If you have, I think Salah asked this question. The GDS is easily convinced, Salah, if you have your own contracts with unique properties. So whenever we approach the GDS and we help the client go live, the client had a number of contracts. I cannot tell you a direct amount. This particular client had, I think, 1,000 to 3,000 to leave it out there. So you need to have a relevant number of hotels in a decent destination. Decent destinations is, for me, is anywhere around Europe or even the Middle East. But definitely you need to be relevant. If you come with 10 contracts in somewhere, it might not be so relevant. If you come with 400 contracts all around Istanbul and Ankara and Izmir and all around Turkey, let's say, the GDS would probably be interested. The GDS has never turned us down, or a client down. They have never turned us down because of the number of contracts. They only turn down people who try to sell to the GDS chains. So if you have boutique or unique properties, and obviously you have a better rate than the GDS already has, if you're trying to sell to the GDS a more expensive rate, it comes without saying, they will not care about you. So if you have a cheaper rate with at least 100 hotels, you can sell. Next question.
Yeah, it's regarding the ERP. With what ERP do you work? I think it's for Sabine, and is the process 100% automated?
I will contact Carmen as well directly, because she works with us and she has a very good company. It's a mixture from living from a WBE partnership together with OMC, which is locally based in Romania. So it's a combination between WBE and OMC, which we got together as an ERP. But I will be telling you more over the call.
And it is full automatic or not? Or as well you send it?
100% fully, but based on the combination between WB and OMC.
And Salah is asking, is room mapping effective? Can we face problem of rooms not showing? And what other problems can we face with room mapping?
Yeah, because Salah is also a client, I can explain more about this in private. Room mapping, depending on how you integrate it, we only have it from one vendor installed, so I can only speak for this particular vendor. For the vendor that we have it installed, for a B2B system, because I know what Salah is handling, I would say for a B2C, room mapping is mandatory. For a B2B, it's a discussion. And this discussion is between the IT company and the client. Obviously, for a cleaner interface, it's good to have room mapping, but for a travel agency, if they are going to book more with a cleaner interface, or if they want to see all the options, it's purely a gamble. So there is no correct 100% answer. The only answer I have for Salah, if we talk about the B2C, the B2C definitely needs room mapping. I would say it's paramount, it's mandatory. If we talk a bit about the B2B, there are 50 shades of answers depending on how much do you want to go. I haven't seen problems with the room mapping when we have installed it. If I can say it like that. That's our experience. Claudia, hopefully the webinar will not close automatically.
No, it doesn't close.
Okay.
We used to have it about this question of Salah. We used to have it back on the old technology which we're using. It has ups and downs, Salah. So if you understand that the product has ups and downs, and if we understand that it brings more quality rather than errors, then it might work for you. But we all need to understand that nothing is perfect.
Before I go to Oliver, I just want to go to Ilgeta Mera. How does automated process of hotel confirmation number works exactly? The hotel.
Radu and Joe will explain, because it's an internal project we're doing, so they can reach out to you, I think, and explain.
Yes, basically we're building an API with a company who's doing this, and on the other side we're looking into options into how creating a static data hotel database, which basically will send out automated emails to all the let's call it the typical sold hotels, where we can control the email address. Okay, so whenever we control the email address and we know it's a particular address, because in some cases there is a supplier address. So in the static data, you will get something like reservations at hotelbeds.com instead of getting reservations at Accor hotels. So it's an internal project we are handling regarding the retrieval of the confirmation, and it's multi-prone. In some cases, for example, with people like Stuba, we're getting the confirmation number via a separate API that they are putting at our disposal. So when you are an IT house like us and you handle so many suppliers, and some of them are coming also from external sources like Travelgate, there is no answer for this question that goes across the board. If you are lucky enough to have Stuba or have someone like who has an API, we can retrieve it for you, or some suppliers in the States. If you are using suppliers that don't have this, you will not benefit from that. So you have to use our new tool. So nothing will apply across the board for all the suppliers, because not all the suppliers are the same, unfortunately, and it doesn't relate to us. So we're working on multiple ways on how to automate this, depending on each person's supplier list, if I can call it like that.
Sabine mentioned an automatic statement sent out of WBE. Is that possible, and how is it possible?
We export in our ERP all the invoices which WBE is sending on an automatic basis, and then the ERP sends the statement based on the profile of the client which we set up in WBE. So again, it's a mixture of services where we have implemented API, help me Radu, which is push and pull between the ERP and WB back office. And you just set up the profile of the client and then you're good to go.
Yeah, let's say for Sabine is the owner of one of the two owners of the company. From his point of view, it's fully automated. What were the steps to reach there? Obviously, if you have a different ERP than Sabine and a different IT house, will not apply at all. It's just Sabine is trying to state the fact that for Tail, with the combination of WB and some local partners, for him, it's fully automated. Having said that, if your tech house is in Brazil, you are a company based in the UK, and your clients, I don't know, you have a payment gateway from Malaysia, obviously it's going to be far more challenging and the ERP is from Malaysia, it's going to be not impossible, but a bit more challenging for you, coming back to our initial steps. So the fact that it's working for Sabine means that the product market fit for Sabine and for Tail makes sense. It doesn't mean that WB is the best or Sabine's ERP is the best and his approach is the best. No, it's just you need to make sure that your vendor can speak to the ERP vendor, and that in reality everything can be automated with the cost, I would say. So it's not because we never touched on this point. Nothing is free of charge. So the IT vendor cannot go into having all the connections done bespokely for you. And Sabine is a witness to that it costs quite a bit of money to sign with an ERP and to have all of these push and pull APIs, but it's all for the greater good. You have to have your staff focus on clients. You have to have your staff focus on marketing. You have to have your staff focus on something else, not on stuff that can be automated. A client interaction cannot be automated, but two systems can be automated. This is, I think, the takeaway from here.
And there's another question from Oliver regarding the auto hotel confirmation number on how.
Yes, this is what I mentioned about the
you
3
already
steps that WB
mentioned.
is doing. This is what I mentioned. It's not,
There's another thing which is happening recently. A lot of our partners, for example, they started providing hotel confirmation number based on a JSON file or a JSON connectivity. So it's going to be a push or a pull, a hotel confirmation number in the system from the certain partner which provides the JSON file.
Yeah, so we, as I said,
so there are different angles which WB is handling this and is tackling this section pretty well, I would say.
But it's not a one-stop shop, and this is what I wanted to tell to Oliver. It's not a one-stop shop, and it's not something that if you press a button, it will apply to all of the suppliers, because it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Maybe it covers. Maybe it's going to be covering 50% or 60% or 40% of your bookings, so you're still going to be winning time and operational time to handle something else.
Which again, there are solutions out there that actually retrieve the confirmation number on your behalf, and WB just gives an XML out to them, and they retrieve the confirmation number for you. And obviously, they have a charge per each booking if you are willing to have it. Obviously, the moment in which you have, let's put a round number, 100 bookings per day. Even if you pay $1, it's $3,000 a month constantly. The more you scale, if you scale to 200 bookings, no, you'll have $100. $100 per 100 bookings per day. Yeah, you have $3,000 a month. At 200, you'll have $6,000. So for a company doing around 4 to 5 million, who has a base not in London or in a very expensive place, a person to reconfirm bookings for them will cost them far less than that. If you have a base in Brussels, or if you have a base in the States, or if you have a base in a very rich country in terms of an average salary, definitely paying $3,000 per month every 100 bookings that you do per day might not be so bad. So it all relates to your labor cost. If you can hire a person in I don't know, Thessaloniki for $700 a month, I'm just putting a number, it might make more sense to have a person than have a software. Until you see that the person does mistakes and so on. So it's a numbers game, but it's something that we are actively working as WB on improving, with the caveat that not all suppliers will work, not all suppliers will have the same rule. I just want to have a chance to answer the question about the transfers. Transfers to be sold in WB in the system when? It depends on our supplier. We are actively working with probably the largest company in the world for installing the transfers. It's not the most clean integration. Sabine knows very well the challenges that we are facing. It's not a matter of when, because we do not control it. We are pushing it to have it by Q4 to have it ready with the transfers, with the new API for the one of the largest companies. But it's not so much in our court, because it's a lot of back and forward, and Sabine is a part of some emails with 20 people in CC. So it's two systems communicating, and it's a process. It's not something that we can control as much as we want.
Okay, the next one is for Sabine. It's how about, why don't you have a B2C? That's a very interesting.
We don't have a B2C.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for the question. It's for the simple reason that we only know how to do B2B, and we have always been a B2B company, and we're always going to be a B2B company. And if we ever decide on being a B2C company or having a B2C company, I think we're going to be one of the worst, for the simple fact that we don't know how to sell to the end customers, because we never did, and we're never going to do it.
And if it was for your business to go B2C, you would need a lot of money for marketing, because
I would probably change industry and just do something else, because as I said, we don't handle B2C, never did, never will.
Mhm.
And I'm strongly against any company that does that, because I don't consider it as being fair, but that's a different topic, not for today.
Okay. There's another question from Carmen regarding mapping. If it's she wants to know if she only wants to do mapping per city or per particular hotels, if it's possible to do only like this.
I can answer it very fast. Doesn't work like that. Definitely, you wouldn't want to map only certain cities. You have to map everything, and then I'm telling about what WB has, and then you have to tailor the product for your audience. This is a different story. So let's say we have this done in the B2C quite well. So you would need, let's just put a number. You would need to install 20 suppliers. You would need to map those 20 suppliers, and then inside WB you could choose to sell only Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Mauritius for whatever reason. Moment in which you are going to restrict destinations, but you wouldn't be able to buy mapping only for a couple of cities or for a couple of destinations. You would have to map everything with the help of WB partners and so on, or your IT company, your IT company partner, whoever they are. But afterwards, you can tailor out the product depending on your market. If you want to launch a B2C and you want to focus it on what? Let's say on 4-star properties, you would need to have everything mapped on the back office side, and then as per your sales channel, to only focus on selling hostels, or only focus on selling 4-star hotels around the capitals of Europe, and do a marketing on that. This tailoring of content or limiting of content is very indicative of a B2C audience in general, at least when we bumped into it. But you couldn't map just a couple. You will need to map everything, at least in our understanding, and then tailor out the product depending on where you sell. Hopefully this answers it to some degree.
Yes, there's one more question from Kamir. It's in regards to his launch of a B2C online. Kamir, I've switched the slide to the contacts with the email, so you can have both emails, so you can see where to address the question, because he wants to speak privately. And there's another question from Mohamed Yusuf to mention some good hotel mapping companies and also good IT developers for 7 APIs projects and cost around 20,000 USD.
This is for, let's say, for Sabine to answer. Obviously, I work for a tech house, so it's not fair to ask me about this. Obviously, I have my own opinions and I'm very biased. Otherwise, I wouldn't be with WB for 15 years. So this is more of a question for Sabine. You can email him at sales@wb.travel, sales@tailtravel.com. See you in London. Yes. Overbookings may not be the perfect task, but these days I had a case with a supplier for a hotel in China, which is booked for August. We had double confirmation from the hotel, and then one day before, in October, we got the information the hotel is fully booked. In that case, it was a different option with a different location and downgrade. They gave us refund on 10%. Okay, this is a good question to end up. Sabine, can you tell us? This has happened to you not one time. This happened to you when I visited you 1 month ago. Yeah. This happened. This exact case was happening. I don't want to mention the supplier, famous company. This happened with me in your office to you, and you didn't accept it at all. Can you share with this particular person who gave us a true question? Can you share a bit? How do you handle these types of cases? One day prior to check-in, mind you.
Yes, Agneso, thank you very much for the question. To be honest, it's one of the worst scenarios which you could have faced. And indeed, it puts you in a very difficult, in a very uncomfortable situation with your customer or with your travel agency. I don't know who the client is. It's something which potentially can happen. I don't want to stress whether it's 0.1% or 1% or whatever, but it can happen. And I don't want to take the defense of the supplier or your business partner. It may not have been his fault. It may have been only a decision from the hotel where they decided simply by making an extra revenue on the booking which you had. So it was like an aggressive overbooking, as we might say. what I would suggest, it's the same thing that I was suggesting during the whole webinar. How which was your partner and how much of a strategic partner were you for him? Your business, is it relevant to the supplier or the booking system which you have used for this booking? If so, then you would be able to negotiate a better refund or a better compensations. If you are using, I don't know your business, but if you're using 10 booking systems, then you're not going to be relevant for each and every single one of them. If you're relevant with a business partner, that business partner will have budgets for you, which they can decide on applying it or not applying it if your business makes sense. If your business is solid enough and big enough with that partner, most likely you can request or they would have provided more than 10%, but that's just my guess.
Okay, so to drive it home, Agnesa, because obviously you've been through a not great experience. Basically, this will happen. There are people that what Sabine said, that there are people that over aggressively overbook, knowing that they can change, they can move you. What I have seen Sabine do is that he's using his influence with that particular supplier in pushing the vendor to give him far more than the rather abysmal 10% that you got and the downgrade. Okay, so and this you can only do when you can threaten, although it sounds bad, when you can threaten a relationship that the supplier cares about. So if you are giving to the supplier one booking per week, you are basically run into a corner. You cannot move. If this is a booking with Go Global, I'll use an example. Go Global is famous for actively pushing the vendors to help you out in case of a cancellation or overbooking. If you are using a correct partner like Go Global, and Go Global is leveraging the Go Global, I don't know, $1.2 billion revenue towards that hotel, it's a different story. But if you were to compare Go Global with someone else, I don't want to mention any names, and you will see that Go Global is a bit more expensive, you might say that, hey, I'm not going to use the Go Global because it's more expensive. But in this case, either Go Global or even Tail Travel could help you in could negotiate on your behalf if you are relevant for Tail Travel and Tail Travel is relevant for that particular hotel. But if you are just doing a booking with that vendor once every 2 months, you have no chance in negotiating, and you have done all the correct steps. You just have to stomach the loss and do better next time. That's the honest to God advice, which is not great, but that's the reality. This is the way I understood it from Sabine. So it's not like you have done something wrong. You haven't. It's just bad luck, and you need a contingency budget on the side for these cases, knowing full well that if you use the cheapest supplier, sometimes the supplier might, or a lot of number of suppliers, sometimes that supplier will not support you, and it happens to the best of us.
Okay, I'm reading Miss Ernesta's following messages, and I don't want to talk about more on this topic. If you want to, you can contact me via LinkedIn or whatever, and I can share with you my personal opinion on the experience you had, or give you some better insights or advices on how you can protect your business and your own budgets.
Yeah, Agnesa, because I know this supplier very well, and I know the current market environment, I think it would make a lot of sense to write to Sabine on LinkedIn, because with this particular supplier, there's a special situation that might help you save money in the future if you discuss with a person that is more knowledgeable about this particular topic. And I also know a bit, and Sabine knows far better about this particular case. So yeah, please write to him, because you haven't done anything wrong here. Here is it's totally something out of your. I mean, you've done all the correct steps. It's just some things that happened. Bad things happen also to good people. That's how I would say this happened to you. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for joining. We went a bit overboard by 20 minutes, but hopefully we were able to not talk about our companies and talk about the travel business. This was the goal.
If we just 1 minute, sorry, Rado, maybe you're busy, but there's one interesting question from Peter Sells. He's asking me why I haven't named the rebooking services and if it's uncomfortable within the industry. Peter, I have no problem in naming them to you. You can write me on a personal message, whether on LinkedIn or whatever. Is that there are these companies which they have rebooking tools, and I don't want to mention the names because you can choose by yourself one of them. And I really don't want to do marketing for either of them because I think all of them are good things to have. But I can answer you in private.
Okay, so this being said, thank you all for joining. For those of you that stayed until the end, many of you.
A huge percentage, so we do appreciate it.
Yeah,
And free beers in London for everyone.
yeah.
who stayed
The
until
next
the end.
stop is World Travel Market. You can meet Radu and Sabine and talk more and send them 100 questions per minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot to everyone. We'll
Thank
leave
you
you
very
here.
much, guys.
We'll share
We do appreciate being for
the
2 hours
video.
with us. We super appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been
Thank you,
2
guys.
hours. Well, okay. See
Cheers.
you. See